Imagine a king, once hailed as the beloved ruler of France, suddenly gripped by a terror so profound that he believes his body is made of fragile glass, shattering at the slightest touch. What if this madness wasn't just a personal curse, but a force that plunged an entire nation into chaos, igniting wars and tearing apart families? This is the harrowing tale of King Charles VI of France, whose descent into delusion in 1392 didn't just haunt his court. It fueled the flames of the 100 Years' War and exposed the devastating toll of mental illness on royalty. His violent outbursts, where he slaughtered his own knights in fits of rage, and his bizarre fears of breaking like a vase, shocked Europe and revealed a darkness that no crown could hide. But was this truly a divine curse, or something far more sinister lurking in his bloodline? Hi, history lovers. I'm here to bring you this tragic story, blending drama with the cold facts from primary sources. We'll uncover the mysteries, debunk the myths, and explore how one man's shattered mind reshaped a kingdom. Stay tuned to dive into the abyss of royal madness, and if you're new here, hit subscribe for more tales of historical horror that will keep you up at night. To understand the tragedy of Charles VI, we must step back into the turbulent world of 14th century France, a land scarred by the 100 Years' War with England, where plagues ravaged the population and political intrigues simmered like a cauldron ready to boil over. Born on December 3, 1368, in Paris, Charles was the son of King Charles V, known as the Wise, and Joan of Bourbon. His family tree was a tangled web of Valois royalty, marked by close marriages that some whispered carried a hidden curse, mental instability that had afflicted relatives before him. Joan's own kin suffered from bouts of insanity, a shadow that loomed over the young prince from birth. As a child, Charles showed promise. Intelligent, charming, and athletic, he was groomed for the throne amid the echoes of war. France was locked in conflict with England, and Charles V's death in 1380 thrust the 11-year-old boy into regency under his uncles, powerful dukes who squabbled over control like wolves over a fresh kill. According to chronicler Jean Froissart, who documented the era vividly, young Charles was fair and well-formed, with a noble countenance. But even then, whispers of instability circulated at court. Politically, France teetered on the edge. The English claimed the throne through Edward III's lineage, and internal divisions between the Burgundians and Armagnacs factions threatened civil war. Religiously, the Great Schism divided the church, adding spiritual turmoil. Charles married Isabella of Bavaria in 1385 at age 16, a union meant to secure alliances, but it foreshadowed personal strife. Isabella's extravagance would later fuel public resentment. Debunking a myth early, some tales paint Charles as weak from birth, but sources like the Chronicle of the Monk of Saint-Denis describe him as vigorous in youth, hunting and jousting with fervor. Yet, as we'll see, the seeds of madness were sown deep, perhaps in his genes, or the stresses of rule. What turned this promising king into a fragile shell of a man? Let's trace his rise and devastating fall. Charles ascended the throne fully in 1388 at age 20, eager to shake off his uncle's grip and restore France's glory. Picture this: a young king, radiant in armor, leading reforms to curb corruption and strengthen the crown. He dismissed his uncles, appointing trusted advisors dubbed the Marmosets, and for a time, France flourished. Taxes eased, the economy stabilized, and Charles earned the moniker, the Beloved. But cracks appeared early. In 1392, during a sweltering summer campaign against Brittany, amid the ongoing war with England, Charles suffered his first episode. As chronicler Froissart recounts, the king, riding forth, suddenly cried out in terror, drew his sword, and slew 4 of his own knights before being subdued. Delirious with fever, he attacked his companions, believing them enemies. Restrained and returned to Paris, he emerged from coma raving, a shadow of himself. This wasn't isolated. Over years, bouts of madness recurred, up to 6 months long, where Charles forgot his name, denied his wife and children, and smashed royal symbols. In one delusion, he insisted he was George, not Charles. Violent outbursts followed. He once tried to strangle Isabella, forcing her to flee. Politically, this vacuum invited chaos. His uncles regained power, clashing in civil war between Burgundians and Armagnacs. England exploited the division. Henry V invaded in 1415, crushing France at Agincourt. Charles, in lucid moments, signed the Treaty of Troyes in 1420, disinheriting his son and naming Henry V heir, fueling the Hundred Years' War's bloodiest phase. Imagine the court, whispers in gilded halls as the king, in a fit, roamed naked, howling like a beast. Physicians bled him, applied leeches, even submerged him in cold baths. Crude attempts at cure. Isabella, initially supportive, turned to affairs, birthing 12 children amid rumors of illegitimacy. The glass delusion emerged around 1405. Charles believed he was made of glass, fragile and breakable. He wore iron rods in his clothes to prevent shattering, refusing touch. As the Religieux de Saint-Denis wrote, he feared to move lest he crack like a vase. This rare psychosis, noted in medical texts, symbolized his fractured mind. These events weren't mere quirks. They deepened France's divisions, enabling English conquests like Normandy's fall. Charles's madness wasn't just personal. It reshaped Europe, prolonging war and suffering. The climax of Charles's torment came in his final years, a slow unraveling that mirrored France's agony. By 1420, lucid spells were rare. He lived in isolation at Hôtel Saint-Pol, walls smeared with his own filth during manic episodes. In one horrific outburst, he attacked servants, convinced they were demons. Isabella, now allied with Burgundy, confined him, using his insanity to justify her regency. The Dauphin, future Charles VII, fled Paris, declaring his father manipulated. English forces occupied the capital. Henry V married Charles's daughter Catherine, sealing the treaty. But fate twisted. Henry V died in 1422, months before Charles. On October 21st, 1422, Charles perished at 53, likely from infection or exhaustion. Contemporary Michel Pintoin described, "He wasted away, refusing food in delusion, his body a ruin. No grand funeral, buried quietly at Saint-Denis amid war's roar." Mystery lingers. Was it schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or porphyria, a genetic ailment causing madness? Modern experts debate. Some cite arsenic poisoning from treatments. Primary sources like Enguerrand de Monstrelet note violent paranoia, but no conspiracy evidence holds. His death didn't end suffering. France bled for decades more. Charles VI's legacy is a cautionary tale. One man's affliction toppled a kingdom, extending the Hundred Years' War and enabling Joan of Arc's rise. His madness weakened France, allowing England's near conquest, but also spurred national unity under Charles VII. In pop culture, he's often mythologized as Charles the Mad, but Hollywood overlooks the human tragedy, mental illness untreated in an era of ignorance. Lessons? Resilience amid suffering. France endured, emerging stronger. What do you think caused his glass delusion? Comment below. From a beloved king to a shattered soul, Charles VI's story reminds us how fragile power and the mind can be. Thanks for joining this dive into royal darkness. If it gripped you, like, share, and subscribe for more historical horrors. Check my playlists on medieval mysteries or support on Patreon for exclusive content. Next, the Cursed Habsburgs. Keep exploring history.